Hello, everyone. Welcome to iCritic Live. This is the podcast where we talk about entertainment, pop culture, and life in between. I'm your host, Kevin T. Rodriguez, film critic of iCritic.net, and through the power of the internet, I have Rachel from Rachel Reviews in a separate office with me.
That's right. Happy Oscar weekend.
Yes, it is the time of season where, what was it Bob Hope said? This is where we all shake hands and forgive our old enemies, and we make new enemies.
Yeah, right.
Or otherwise, this is the season of heartbreak for movie fans.
Only one person gets the trophy, so
unless you're the year 1968, in which apparently you can tie if you're Barbara Streisand and Katharine Hepburn.
That's true. There have been a few ties.
I actually would not mind another tie, especially in extremely competitive years. I would like it to be so close that they actually split down the middle.
Well, again. I mean, that is one kind of fun thing about this year is that I feel like it's pretty unpredictable. I mean, there's a couple categories that are pretty solid, but a lot of other ones are pretty hard to predict.
I think there's only really one category that's locked, and everything else is pretty open as far as
kind of fun.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, folks, for those of you who have never done this before, this is it's actually one of my favorite shows to do every year. This is where, if we picked the winners, this is where we fill out our envelopes, our votes, if we were Academy voters. Now, we don't do every single category, but we do the key ones. Now, there is going to be at least one change of pace in this programming, because normally what I would do is I would spend time putting together clips of the performances, the nominees, and we would show them, make it a little bit more interactive. But there was a roadblock, a very wicked roadblock, if you will, in the sense that two movies that are up for a myriad of awards are from Universal. And so I spent the time to make the clips and everything. And of course, you test them out by uploading them.
Yeah.
Every single one of them got copyright struck by Universal. I'm sure you don't sympathize with this at all.
Yeah, forget it. Yeah, Universal's the worst. Did you see that thing where they even copyrighted their own clip?
Oh yeah,
it was hilarious.
Yeah. It's like, Universal is the biggest,
the worst.
Take the ball and go home and just ruin everyone's fun. So now and the frustrating thing was, I made all the clips and then found out that absolutely none of them would work. Not even animated feature, because they distributed one of those nominees. So I'm sorry, folks. I mean, I know if you're listening, this doesn't matter too much, but for those who watch, it always made it a little bit more visually interesting. But I'm going to have to read the nominees this year. So send all your complaints to Universal, because I do not think there can be enough people writing to them that they really need to get their sticks out of their butts about YouTube reviewers.
Yeah, they're anti-creator. It's really frustrating.
Yeah, especially, which is the funny thing is, like, we're doing a thing where if we pick the winners, and I'm pretty certain we actually are going to be saying, hey, this performance or this movie that Universal owns should get an Oscar. And they're basically saying, that's nice, don't show our clips.
Right, exactly.
So anyway, let's get on with the thing. And we're going to start with Best Actor in a Supporting Role. And the nominees are, and one of the reasons I like doing this recording is I can edit it if I make a pronunciation mistake. Yura Borisov from Enora, Kieran Culkin, A Real Pain, Edward Norton, A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce, The Brutalist, and Jeremy Strong, The Apprentice. I already missed the clips. I'm going to say that right now. I already missed the clips. So let's see what Rachel has picked.
You want me to share?
I'll share for you, and you can share for me. Rachel, you picked Kieran Culkin for Best Supporting Actor.
See, I don't know if I have your link. How do I share your? Or
Oh, I'll share. Oh, sorry. I will share your. I'll send it to. I'll message it to you in X. But in the meantime, so why are you pick Kieran Cole?
Yeah, I do think this is one of the stronger categories. I like most of these performances. But I just thought he was absolutely great, mesmerizing in this role. Everybody I think has a cousin or family member that's kind of like this character. It felt so relatable. And yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it is a very good performance, and you're right. It's actually kind of strange that Kieran Culkin in the real world has been sweeping the awards when the competition has actually been pretty good. I would say in most years, he probably would be putting up a bit of a challenge, if you will.
Yeah.
But I'm
excited for him. I think it's cool.
I think he's gonna win. But why don't you share my screen where?
Well, why don't you share your screen because I don't have it.
Oh, okay. Well, I sent you the link through X, but I'll share my pick for best supporting actor is Kieran Culkin as well.
Oh, okay.
Because I really do think he's just that good in the movie. Now, I will say I almost hesitated to pick him, and this thought process, I will say, did affect my voting of the supporting actress nomination. This is very borderline lead performance, and I personally get a little annoyed when leading roles are run in supporting performances. I think that gives them an unfair advantage, and I typically don't vote for them. But this one was the performance really was just that good. But B, even with the much more screen time that he has, it's still pretty clear that he's not the focus.
See, that's what I would say is that, like, yes, he might have a bit of screen time, but he is clearly the supporting performance to Jesse Ivers is the lead character.
Right. So that's what kind of tipped me to finally. So it's like, just go for him. I'm not like some other actresses are not going to get the same treatment when we get to the next category, but I decided, you know what? It's pretty clearly, even if it's a co-lead, it's still supporting the main lead. And so I just couldn't say no, as they say. So it looks like we're in agreement on that one.
All right.
And now we're going to go to Best Actress in a Supporting Role. And since we did yours first, we're going to do mine now, especially after I just made that whole stink. There are, I will admit, 2 performances that were technically better than the one I selected, but they were such obvious main characters that it kind of felt like category fraud at its worst. It almost felt disgusting to a point. So I decided, well, I want a true supporting performance, and for me that's Felicity Jones from The Brutalist, who I think has actually not gotten the attention she deserves, and probably because she hasn't gotten a lot of nominations. I think because people were watching The Brutalist. I think a lot of voters stopped once they hit the intermission. She doesn't show up until the second half of the movie, but once she shows up, it like breathes new life into the movie. Otherwise, there's new conflict. I do love her relationship with her husband, which is way more complicated because of the distance of time and the health things that he was not aware of. And of course, how he was essentially living his life without her for several years. But it was just such a powerful performance. What do you think of Felicity Jones?
Yeah, I think it's a really good performance, and she'd be up there for me. The only thing is, I do wish that they had cast a disabled actress in the role. There's no reason that she needs to be able-bodied. It's not like there's some part of the movie where she's able-bodied the whole time. She's a disabled character. So I think it was a missed opportunity to cast somebody who,
I I don't care about that. I'm going to be frank. Don't care about that stuff. If the actor is good in the role, and I can't imagine anyone else playing her. Maybe someone else could have, but it's like she was so great in the role. It's like, I'm sorry. I wouldn't want it recast personally.
I think there's, it was a little bit, I'm not going to say I really loved the film, but I think that it would have been even better.
But like, but here's the thing. Like, if you didn't know she was able-bodied, like, what about the performance? Would the performance would have been affected at all? Yeah, it's just the fact that you know.
No, I don't think so. I think it would have been even more authentic for somebody who lived that experience.
Well, I did not pick that up. That she's an actress. She does a great job in this one. Actually, there is that moment where she does have to walk near the end of the movie. She did have to walk in that scene where she confronts the Guy Pearce character about something he may have done to her husband. I don't want to spoil it, but in that scene, she not only walks a little bit, but then she has to get dragged across the room and be picked up. So I guess that would have been an issue if you had hired an actual disabled person.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think
that's my opinion.
Yeah, I know, and my opinion is it doesn't matter. But that being said, let's see who you would have voted for Best Supporting Actress. You would have picked Ariana Grande for Wicked.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so explain this one.
Because I think that she brought so much personality and character to that role, and she was so charming and fun, and I just loved her performance. And I would still say I think that she is the supporting character to Elphaba. I don't think that she is the lead of the film. It's a little bit more gray than with a little more gray than with the other one, but still, it's where she's nominated, and I really liked her performance, and that's who I would pick.
So I really like this performance too. But I think this performance, as well as Zoe Saldana in Emilia Perez, these two performances I think are so obviously lead that I kind of felt gross about them being here. And I know some people, and maybe you might be one of them, go like, oh, but I really like her, so I'm glad she's getting something. But I just have a different opinion. Like when the Golden Globes happened and Demi Moore's winning for Best Musical or Comedy, and I'm like, that's not a musical or a comedy. I don't care how much I like her. Like, that's category fraud. So I kind of feel the same way. Heck, Ariana Grande has more screen time in this than Cynthia Erivo does. Like, she literally opens and closes the movie. She has more screen time. I don't think either is more important.
Playing her.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not arguing it's a great performance. And in all fairness, look, they did nominate her. I put a limitation on myself. You don't have to do that. Yeah. I didn't vote for her because this nomination, along with Saldana, which, by the way, I think we can both agree Saldana is the lead character of Emilia Perez.
Yes, like, I do agree on that one.
That one's not even in dispute. Yeah. But, I don't think this is as gray, but I mean, but
I don't. That's not as much a deal breaker for me as it is evidently for you.
Yeah, and I'm funny that way. What can I say?
I mean,
and I do love this performance, and I will say, even though
at the end of the day, it comes down to what I thought was the best performance, and that's who was nominated. So.
Yeah, well, the Academy. If we're putting ourselves in the hypothetical Oscar voters, they nominated it. So if you were a hypothetical voter, you could select it. There was nothing stopping you. I will say, just on the record, though, I will be happier if Grande wins this instead of Saldana, because I kind of want Emilia Perez to go home empty-handed. I
don't think it'll happen, but you never know. You never know.
You never know. Okay, so now then, Now let's get into everyone's favorite category, the best song. Which, boy, there were, folks. I'm just going to be honest.
Year.
I don't think. Like if ever there was a case to be made for the category not being run in a year, this one's probably it.
I agree.
But
it's a weak year.
But let's see what you picked though. You picked The Journey. Is that the Diane Warren song?
Yeah, it is. Give Diane, just give it to her.
I'm in the same. I'm kind of in the same boat.
It's a good song.
It's a decent song. It's better than the Amelia Perez songs. So yeah, I've kind of had this mentality of they should just screw and get it over with. And if ever they wanted to get away from a problematic movie, this would be the great way to do it. Now I'm going to be slightly different. If I was picking the winner voting, I would vote for Never Too Late, if only because this is the only song out of the 5 nominees that I would listen to again outside of the movies. And it's not even that great of a song.
Seems so strange to me to have a concert documentary song that can count for this. Like, that's so weird.
That is very weird because other songs have been disqualified for being concert songs.
So weird. And there were others like decent songs that it's not like it was the Man or Muppet year where there were no other songs. There were
the Man or Muppet year. There were plenty of great songs that they passed up.
Nominated 3.
No, they only nominated 2.
That was a 2. Yeah,
that was a 2 year, and it's like
bonkers.
Really, that musical number from Captain America wasn't worth nominating. That song from Happy Feet 2 wasn't worth nominating.
Yeah. Like this one was just so. I was like, I didn't even think that was allowed. So go figure.
So by the way, when they announced that they were not going to perform the songs live, and you and me disagree with whether or not that's a good thing or not. What we did agree on was, and this was before the nominees were announced, they've seen the songs that are nominated, and they're just like, nah, no one wants to see these songs performed live.
I'm not against songs being sung, but I don't think that we need the full and complete original songs all to be sung.
Yeah, it's a show. It's a show.
It gives you a chance to have the non-original songs sung from movies, like from A Complete Unknown or from Wicked or from you can just have whatever songs you want. You don't have to have all of the original songs.
But some years when the song nominees are especially strong, like
you can still have them.
That the Lego Movie, like that was the year they performed all the songs, and the headlines and reviews for the show was music was the winner that night because all the
still do the songs. You just don't have to do the songs.
Well, that's where we disagree. But where we agreed was that when I at least saw the nominees for the songs, I was like, no one wants to see these songs performed live.
Good call.
Maybe the Elton John song, maybe the Diane Warren, but do we really want to put on big musical numbers for the Amelia Perez songs, which you can't even understand the lyrics? What was the 5th song that was nominated? I don't even know. Forgot what it is. I'm going to look that.
Sing Sing?
I'm going to look that
like
up.
Like a bird?
That Sing Sing song. And that was now you see, that's not a bad song, but it doesn't really have a lot of weight outside of the context of the movie. So anyway, that's that. Well, now we're going to get to our actual.
Also, if Diane Warren were to win, I actually interviewed her this year, so that'd be kind of fun.
That would.
If Flo wins, I interviewed Gintz, and if Diane Warren wins, I interviewed her. So that could be cool.
I've got a pretty good feeling about Flo winning, personally, but I would actually just like Diane Warren to win just so that they can stop nominating these pretty bad songs. In my opinion,
I was so surprised because when I interviewed her, I was expecting her to be kind of over it, like that. That's how I would be. I would just be like. Like Lin-Manuel, when you hear him talk, he's just like, I've got plenty of awards. I don't care. something like that. But like, she really cares really bad. She gets super invested. I was surprised.
She's never won a competitive Oscar before, and this is like what, her 17th nomination.
Yeah, that's what I just thought. She would just be kind of over it and be like, it's it doesn't matter. But no, she like really cares.
Yeah, well, she was interesting. She also never got married, doesn't have children. This is essentially her legacy, and she would. I can understand why she would probably care a little bit more.
I guess I was surprised.
Others. She should have won before. There were a couple of years where she had a much better song nominated than what won. But yeah, it's
I think
I know that when Billie Eilish won and her brother won for that James Bond song, and she was sitting next to them, she was clearly upset.
Yeah, she was.
And it's like, and I actually okay, we're getting a little off topic here, folks. We'll get back to the awards in a minute, but it's like, yeah, that's why Paul Hogan, when he opened the Academy Awards the year he was nominated, he like encouraged people to get upset because it made for better television. It's like, don't do this. I'm so glad everyone won. That person wants to me. Do a sigh and a small clap, or clearly show you're upset. And if you really want to make good television, get up and stomp out of the theater. Now, look, I'm from Australia, and I know I'm not the favorite to win, but I came halfway around the world for this. Yeah. If I lose, it ain't going to be pretty. And it's like, I love it. I love it when the losers actually show a little bit of anger. Yeah. Anger. It actually humanizes them a little bit more.
I think that Mi Camino is going to win.
That from Perez?
I think that and Zoe will be the wins for Amelia Perez.
I'm only convinced Zoe's winning. I don't even think the songs in the bag, because how many people actually would give it a song nomination that they don't understand a win unless they wanted to give it? None of these
other songs are like memorable, or people have even like
but you have to keep in mind that the reason they nominated Amelia Perez was for Capital. They wanted to like make a statement with that movie.
No, I agree.
And now the movie's tainted.
But these other movies, nobody's even hardly heard of them.
Yeah,
so
but
I just think
the politics of the narrative will shift now. They don't want to give Amelia Perez moments that are going to come back to bite them. So
I agree on Best Picture, but I think that it's going to win one of these songs. But who knows?
Well, we'll see. We're not here to predict what will win. We're here to say who we would vote for, and neither of us would vote for Amelia Perez.
No.
So now for Best Animated Feature, and by the way, I've already...
This is a very hard category.
It's a very hard category. I actually changed my choice 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
But I picked probably the one that's not going to win Memoir of a Snail, because I think I actually watched it a second time. Like, I was blown away by how kind of beautiful the screenplay was the first time around. You don't say that very often about an animated film, but the writing in this movie is really quite poetic in many spots. And then I watched it again, and it was like it had kind of the same effect as when I watched it the first time. Now, I love Flo. I love The Wild Robot, and I like Inside Out 2 quite a bit as well. The only one I don't like, ironically, was Wallace and Gromit. I think that should have been a short film. I think it kind of wasted my time being the length it was. But this is a tough category, and so I kind of went between this and Flo, back and forth, and I kind of settled on this one because it was just like it was. I mean, they're both unique films. That's what made it so hard. But it is
hard. I recommended all. I gave all of these fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, I wouldn't be upset if any of them won. But
I'd be a little upset if Wallace and Gromit won. I'm not gonna lie.
I really enjoyed that, so I'm not with you on that. But
but even if you enjoyed it, I mean, when you compare it to the other 4, it's like that one's probably like it's clearly on a lower level than those other 4.
I would have it 4 out of 5. The lowest for me would actually be Memoir of a Snail. I just found it so dour. So like I still recommended it because it's so well animated, but I actually didn't love the screenplay as much as you.
I did. The line that really got me in that movie was life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived going forward. And it's like, that was like, oh yeah. Ooh.
It was like to me, it felt kind of like a pile-on. It's like, okay, come on. Like you need some joy for your characters.
Well, there was joy at the end for the characters.
Barely.
I don't want to give it away, but there was joy. There was joy.
Not enough for me.
Well,
I still recommended it, but it wasn't my favorite.
Well, you know me. I like my movies being sad and pissy, and I think I've actually stated at one point I don't like happy endings as much as sad endings because I don't think about happy endings as much as I do sad endings. So that's just a personality difference, but it's going to be a toughie. Now let's see what you picked. I mean, unless you pick Wallace and Gromit, which I'm going to be a little upset if you do. Like,
I loved Wallace and Gromit. I think I might even like it better than Were Rabbit. So.
Oh no, Were Rabbit. No. Oh no! How dare you compare it to Were Rabbit? That was so much better. Well, let's see what you voted here.
I disagree.
Oh, The Wild Robot. Yep, I like that one. We can still be friends.
I loved the Wild Robot. It was my favorite movie of the year. I just thought was such a beautiful, beautiful movie about the transformative power of nurturing and how when you invest yourself in another creature, in this case, it can't help but change you. And it changes this robot, and it was great.
Yeah. Oh no, this was a very people really. I mean, not the people. It actually was a hit, but like award voters really slept on this movie. In fact, it kind of pisses me off a little bit more that you have The Wild Robot and Flo. I don't know. It's Best
still.
Picture.
Oh, right, yeah, but it has one
complete unknown R.
I feel like this is it's going to be very interesting to see what wins because Wild Robot has won some stuff and Flo has won some stuff. And so it's going to be interesting and it'll be super exciting either way because I love both of them.
Yeah, it will be. This isn't like last year where it's like, even though I liked Spider-Man, I would have been a little bit more upset had it won because it's like, but it's a sequel and you got Miyazaki right there. But in this case, it's like, well, Wild Robot wins. I'm perfectly happy. Memoir of a Snail wins. Perfectly happy. Flo, I think Flo will win. I'd be perfectly happy. The only one that I get pissed off is Wallace and Gromit because that is not them at their best. Not even close.
I don't agree.
Yeah, I know you don't agree. That's fine. Wallace and Gromit did win the BAFTA award, although I don't know if that means it has a chance or if that's just a very British thing for the BAFTA awards to do. Like, I know the BAFTAs tend to favor their homegrown movies for their awards. So that would be an interesting one, but very good category this year. Now let's get to Best Adapted Screenplay, and you picked a complete unknown. Okay, you gotta explain this one.
I think it was very entertaining. I don't think this is the strongest category. I don't really love any of these movies. I mean, Complete Unknown is my favorite by far of these 5 films. But I think it did a really good job, especially that second half of building the sort of the tension. Is he going to play? Is he going to play the song? Is he going to play the guitar? What's he going to do at the festival? How's he going to change things? I was invested. I thought it was good. I liked it.
I had no doubt he was going to play his new music, because what kind of inspiring story would that be? There'd be no movie made.
Well, yeah, of course, but I think they did a good job building out that story, even if it had predictable elements.
Yeah, so I have to be on record, even though I gave this movie 3.5 stars, which is definitely a better than average recommendation. Like, except for the acting awards, I'm not sure why this movie got the nominations that it did. Admittingly, the screenplay made more sense than the directing nomination. That didn't make any sense. in my opinion, but
I liked it.
Yeah, well, I like it too. Well, I certainly would not vote for that one. But in all fairness, I don't think you are going. You would agree with my choice. I would vote for Conclave.
Yeah.
Which that makes a lot of. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially since you're right. The adapted screenplay category was not the best one. Why isn't The Wild Robot in the best adapted screenplay category?
Yeah, I would have loved to see that.
Especially since I've read the Wild Robot book, and no offense to the author, but the book is kind of weak compared to the movie.
Yeah, they elevated it. They definitely
elevated it.
I mean, personally, I would have nominated Wicked. I thought it was a very good adaptation.
Yeah, Wicked. I would have nominated Wicked as well. The only reason it didn't get nominated, I think, is because it was so faithful to the Broadway show. Like, there might have been some debate about if they even did anything, even though I think they clearly did. Well, but of the 5 they nominated, this one, in terms of dialogue and mystery, and you talk about building up to conclusion, I think this was very interesting how they built up the conclusion. Then they had the twist ending, which I was tipped off that there was a twist ending. I didn't think it was going to be that. I could see why some Catholics took issue with it. But you're right. Overall, not the best.
I just thought the screenplay is the big weakness of Conclave. I think that it did a very poor job of developing the characters. I didn't care I didn't know enough about any of these people to care about who he picked. Why am I supposed to care about John Lithgow or Stanley Tucci? I barely gotten to know them. I barely spent any time with them.
I don't think you're supposed to care about John Lithgow.
Well, you're supposed to feel tension about who he's going to pick, who they're going to vote for, and why should I feel tension if we don't even get to know him?
He's not going. First of all, you're making it sound like one person. It's a bunch of them, but that's why the betrayals and the secrets come up. That's where you find out the power dynamics. How like the guy who's like pretending that he doesn't want it actually does want it.
I just felt like everything was really undercooked. I felt like I don't know. To me, I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't get what people love about it. It's not for me. So
yeah, no, because it's a courtroom drama without the courtroom, and people love courtroom drama.
I just felt like I didn't get to know any of the candidates. Like, why should I care who gets picked if we haven't spent any time with them? We have no investment. Like, except for Ray Fiennes' character, he's the only one that we got to actually know.
You also got to know at one point the person who is eventually picked.
A little bit, but not much.
But in a lot of political thrillers, they're not always
it's a weak script.
Political thrillers are not always the most character-driven movies. Like All the President's Men, which is one of the greatest movies of all time. It's like that one doesn't have the greatest character development either, because it's all about the facts and the secrets and what comes out and what contradicts what. So if that's not your type of movie, then yeah, I wouldn't recommend Conclave.
I thought it was boring. I was not interested. I didn't get it. I didn't like it. It's not for me.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Well, anyway, let's get to Best Original Screenplay, which was much, much harder to pick, I'm going to say. But I ultimately settled, I believe, A Real Pain had the best screenplay of the bunch that was nominated. Heck, I think this movie deserves the Oscar just for that conversation that they have on the roof near the end of the movie, where it's
and
like
when he slaps him, like that's
that was hilarious.
Good.
That was so hilarious, and I mean, yeah, and yeah, you know that the dialogue was written I mean, some people have been complaining that Kieran Culkin is just acting like a different variation of himself. I was like, no, Jesse Eisenberg is writing dialogue that best suits him as an actor, and that's one of the reasons why it feels so.
And I was
authentic.
So excited because I did not like Jesse Eisenberg's first movie that he did.
Which one was?
It was like it's something about saving the world. It had had Julianne Moore in it, and
Oh,
it
I
was
know,
bad. It was
I know what you're
bad.
talking
So I
about.
was
Yeah,
so excited when I saw this at Sundance. It was very, very
yeah, yeah.
one of my favorites of the year.
And after Sasquatch Sunset, I wasn't particularly excited about seeing this, and it ended up being very good.
Gosh, yeah. At
So
least he didn't direct that, but yeah.
yeah, but he produced it, so which is kind of like, why are you putting your money into this piece of garbage? But let's take a look and see what you picked. It'd be nice to agree again. And oh, hey, what do you know? We do. You picked a real pain as well.
Yep, I loved it. I thought it was. I just watched it thinking like, who can't connect with this? Like it's
people who have no family whatsoever.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all know someone like the cousin. You know what's actually kind of brilliant about the screenplays? The one scene that on paper should feel very contrived, which is when he's having a panic attack on the train. That scene should feel contrived, but it really doesn't.
It was really good.
It actually feels pretty authentic, and then it even ends with like a little bit of humor where the guide's like, "Oh, people usually have a breakdown. They don't usually have it on the train, but they usually have a breakdown."
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, well, good. Any other nice things you want to say about this screenplay before?
I wish it had been nominated for Best Picture. I think it deserved it. But...
Well, Emilia Perez took away a lot of worthy Best Picture nominees. That was and a complete unknown, because even though I like the movie, it's like that's not a Best Picture contender in my opinion. But let's move on to Best Actor. We'll start with yours. You picked Adrian Brody. You picked Adrian Brody. So that's a very good performance. I almost picked him.
It was riveting. It was an incredible performance. So
no, that was it was actually kind of tough not to vote for him. In fact, so I might as well just get around and share, because I don't know if I still would check it this way if I did it today. I did pick Ralph Fiennes for Best Actor, and I'm not saying I dislike his performance. I actually think his performance is one of the things that held that movie together. But it is,
I'd agree with that, even though I didn't like the movie.
Yeah, but it is true that Adrian Brody seemed to have had the most difficult part. I think I kind of fell into a overdue status mindset where it's like, I think it's kind of criminal that Ralph Fiennes does not have an Oscar, and Adrian Brody's already has one. So I think that's kind of why I went this way. And I know we're not supposed to do it that way. We complain about the Academy doing that all the time, but I fell into that trap. But I would be okay if either of them won.
I'd be fine if Timothée Chalamet won. I thought he was great.
I wouldn't mind if Timothée Chalamet won, because it's like I do give mad props to the performances, and Timothée Chalamet was definitely let's just say he was acting his butt off in that movie. I think actually all three of these actors were acting. Great. They were all acting their butts off. They were really selling it. Even Coleman Domingo and Sebastian Stan, who I feel neither one have much of a chance at winning, even they were doing the best that they absolutely could. And
it's a pretty good category.
An actress. Unfortunately, there's at least one negative in the actress category, but the actor category race is definitely very strong. So I don't know if I would still check Ralph Fiennes today, but I would love to see him win an Oscar. I really would. So, but Adrian Brody did a great job as well.
Yeah.
So either one, they could win. I'd be happy. Now, actress was difficult for me to choose, but kind of like how I think Ralph Fiennes really pulled Conclave together and kept me interested from beginning to end. so did Mikey Madison for Anora, which I do love this movie. I love how it kind of becomes like a Cinderella story and then almost becomes a comedic farce at the end, while also commenting on how rich people really think they can just do whatever the heck they want and control people's life. And I think she goes through a myriad of emotions, from just doing her job to getting her dream marriage to being disappointed by that marriage to seeing it taken away and really almost getting kicked to the curb by these much more powerful and rich people who aren't even American. And I just thought she was like mesmerizing in the whole movie.
Yeah, I didn't love the movie, but she was good in it. So I with that.
Okay, well let's see. I think I know who you're going to pick. You're going to pick. I was wrong. I thought you were going to pick Cynthia Erivo. You picked Demi Moore.
Demi Moore.
She's
incredible, I think, in the movie. She just completely goes for it. And I really enjoyed the film. And I liked the fact that they always equated that there was always that she wanted to not, it wasn't just about beauty. It was about being loved. And you saw that in her character when she get like the flowers, and she get the we love you, we love you, we love you, and you could see that in her face, like just like
right.
and so I thought it was a great performance.
Yeah. So. And that scene where she's looking at herself in the mirror about to go on a date.
Oh yeah,
about really fun. That was one of the great acting moments of the year. Now I'm going to be honest, I have very complicated feelings about the movie itself. I think I might have told you this already, but this was like a 4-star movie for most of the movie. And then the last 20 minutes, I'd never seen a movie torpedo itself so badly that it ended up as a 1-star movie. But for a good 100 minutes or so, this was one of the best films of the year. And then it was like, but then they got to the whole morphing in the monster. It's like, and it's kind of like, you ruined it. You ruined the verisimilitude. But Demi Moore,
I didn't think it ruined it, but I can see how it wouldn't be for everybody.
Yeah. Like and I don't know. Maybe it's interesting. For the record, my wife did not like the last 20 minutes either. Neither did my dad. My mom, who does not like horror stuff, actually did kind of like the last 20 minutes. She thought that was like clever. So it's like maybe there is like a difference between the sexes on that one. I don't know, but I'm not gonna deny that if Demi Moore wins, she would definitely deserve it, because I mean that one scene alone, it's like, oh yeah, like how most Oscar-winning performances, it's like there's a scene that everyone references, and the mirror scene is it for me.
I would also not be sad at all if Fernanda Torres were to win. She is extremely good in that movie. I don't think she will, but she's very, very, very good in that role.
I'm a little bit more confident she'll win than most people are, only because she didn't get a lot of nominations, so we just don't know how the Academy voters are playing it out. And I kind of said
she is very good in that movie.
Yeah, I almost selected her. I almost did.
Yeah, but, me too.
But I didn't quite, and that's because I think it's because, like, we're not talking about the category, but I would have given I'm Still Here international feature film, and it's like, well, that's where I would reward the film. Now,
I mean, that's going to be a very interesting category, though, because everyone thinks Amelia Perez will win.
Oh, it won't.
I'm Still Here could win, but then there's Flo there creeping in there too. It's kind of an interesting one.
I am very confident that, with the exception of Saldana, I think Amelia Perez, I think it's done. I think that movie is tainted. No one's going to feel good about giving that movie awards. So.
I'm definitely not as confident about that, because Hollywood is such a bubble. But we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. But admit it, if I'm right, you would be glad to be wrong about that one.
For sure.
You aren't normally happy to be wrong, but you'd be happy to be wrong about that.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, and if I'm still here and Amelia Perez were to divide at a dark horse flow, that would be amazing. But long shot, but it would be cool.
That's a pretty big long shot, I would say. But it's not outside the realm of possibility, because you might have some voters who didn't watch any of the international films, but they can still check the box. And it's well, this movie got 13 nominations. I could check that one.
And Flow did do a really good job of getting out there to everyone, which sometimes these independent films have a hard time. I mean, this thing is on Tubi, it's on Max, it's of course everybody got screeners. Like they did a pretty good job, I think, with their campaign. So
no, they did. Like I even know some people who, because they had heard not just from me but from other people that this was cute, they actually went to see it in the theaters.
Yeah.
And these are people who never see movies like this in the theaters.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move. We're on to the big two. Let's do Best Director. You picked Brady Corbet for The Brutalist. For the record, I did too.
Okay.
So, I mean, here's the thing. I would have voted for him for Best Director even if I didn't like the movie very much, which I do. I love that movie. But what an achievement in directing.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the kind of movie where it's like, you almost hate to mention it because it almost feels a little like it's showing off, but it's like, he's directing the hell out of that thing.
Yeah.
Like none of the other directing jobs came anywhere close to what he was doing. He was doing it with Vista Vision. He was doing different things with the credits.
And on a nothing budget.
On a nothing budget. When I was surprised when I found out how much this costs. I mean, the architecture itself looks like it would cost double what they paid for the entire movie.
I have to admit that, like, if you talk about Oscar bait, like this is a Oscar bait that successfully hooked me. Like it was just so impressive. I watch it and just think, how did this get made in 2024? I mean, it was just so like ambitious that even though, it has some flaws in the second act and it has, some things, but just the fact there is a second act is just amazing. And
he essentially makes two movies here. He makes two movies, and and unlike Wicked, instead of splitting them up, he gave the whole thing up front.
It was
so, all right,
extremely impressive what he accomplished.
Very impressive. So we agree on that.
Way to go, Brady.
Way to go, Brady.
I think he is going to win too.
It's going to be him or Sean Baker. I don't. Yeah. I think, and no offense to Sean Baker, I loved Honora. I love him. It'd be nice if he gets some awards. Hi, honey. But as much as I like Honora, as much as I like Baker, it's like I'm sorry, but in terms of directing, it's not even a choice.
I agree.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why I think it's kind of embarrassing that both Amelia Perez and A Complete Unknown are.
I mean, I actually think A Complete Unknown is very well directed. I think that the way the pacing and the way that, I don't know, I think it's a very well directed film, but it wouldn't have been my choice.
I'm sorry. Are we having technical difficulties?
Yeah, you're freezing.
Okay, you're back. Oh, okay, I can hear you again.
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Oh,
can you hear
okay,
me?
but I can hear you, but
I think it's actually I think A Complete Unknown is actually a really well directed movie, but it wouldn't have been my choice.
That's the most painful by number.
No, I don't agree. I don't agree with
this
that.
category. But difficult.
Yeah, you keep freezing.
On to Best Picture while we still have. Yeah. Yep. So, honey, if you're watching this, stop streaming whatever it is you're streaming. Yeah, it says the connection over here is well. Let's try to plow through this. If you pick Best Picture, you would have picked Wicked. Now, by the way, John M. Chu would be in the best director race more than a complete unknown for Emilia Perez.
So. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's between Wicked and Brutalist for me. Wicked was the movie that I enjoyed the most. The Brutalist is probably the best achievement. I went back and forth, and for today I felt like I'm going to pick the one that I enjoyed the most. I really did love it, and I thought that it did an incredibly hard thing. It was something with so much hype, with so much, and to make something so entertaining, so well done, that it was my favorite of any of these. I only gave Fresh to 5 of these, so it's not. I don't love this group of 10, but yeah, it's my favorite.
Yeah, no, I loved Wicked. It was on my top list. I actually kind of got a little annoyed how many people were like poo-pooing this, like oh, it's just an entertaining movie, like it's an unserious Best Picture contender, and it's like, if Oliver can win Best Picture, and if My Fair Lady can win Best Picture, and if freaking Coda can win Best Picture, I don't know why Wicked can't win Best Picture. I think it's just as good, if not better than those.
Sometimes blockbusters win, and that's okay.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to win this year. I'm so sorry to say, but
I don't think it will win. The preferential ballot might help it. I think that could help it, but
it might. But when it lost SAG, I was like,
but that's not a preferential ballot.
No, it's not. But then it also lost It's like Wicked hasn't won anything major except the Critics' Choice Awards, which have no. But I would be pleasantly surprised to be wrong about this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not predicting it, but I wouldn't die of shock if it did.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't cry. I would not cry at all. Well, I did pick The Brutalist as Best Picture, probably because I picked it as the best film of the year. It was quite a monumental achievement. Now, of course, kind of to your point, the funny thing is I think I'll probably rewatch Wicked more than this movie because it is more entertaining. But I just loved the scope of this thing. I loved the sets. I loved the music. It was amazing how well it came together. I was kind of amazed because I saw it twice in IMAX, and I was amazed both times how it didn't feel long. Like, I knew it was, but it didn't feel very long. That was actually like a pro that Wicked had as well. Like, Wicked was almost 3 hours, and that didn't feel long either.
I'd agree.
Yeah, so I mean, on paper, this would have been the Best Picture winner, although we'll see if like that AI controversy cost it any votes, which the AI controversy was pretty.
I feel like that kind of died over. I think it's pretty much in between Anora and Conclave. I think it's gonna be one of those.
I think it's gonna be one of those as well. I would be fine with either of them winning. I'm assuming you didn't like Anora.
No, I didn't like Anora, and I didn't like Conclave. The ones I liked, I gave Fresh to The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, I'm Still Here, The Substance, and Wicked. Those were the 5 I liked.
I'm Still Here probably should have been in the conversation more. But they didn't have Netflix money.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that it was the only one of the nominees I hadn't seen.
So me too.
I had to go out and see it.
I had to go out and see it.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah, and that ended up being like, oh, this is really good.
And they did like a really excellent job of making it feel like this was a real family. I mean, it felt very authentic. So the casting, if they ever had a casting award, I'd give it to
Actually, they're introducing that award next year.
I would give it
They are going to have a Best Casting Oscar.
Yeah.
So that is coming.
I tell you, the most
come here quite in time.
The most ridiculous nomination, in my opinion, is Conclave for Best Costumes. I mean, what? It's ridiculous. They're just wearing the uniforms of the Vatican. What? Like, what? Like, so you're just giving, like, that's just their uniforms. That's not like a.
Well,
ridiculous.
They also I wouldn't vote for that for costume for that reason.
That's
but
absurd.
But they were recreated very well, and I've seen worse costume nominations. I don't know why La La Land got a Best Costume nomination. It was like,
at least that had to make they had to make new clothing. This is just the outfits that they wear. It's absurd.
Yeah. Well, that's not one that I would vote for Conclave for. Like, I know we're not getting like. I'm gonna let me look at these nominate because there's always one nomination where I'm just kind of like, you gotta.
Conclave for costume was just insane to me, but and then of course the documentary branch always is a complete joke. So
yeah, well I actually liked all the documentaries except Sugarcane.
The fact that the Superman Christopher Reeves wasn't even on the short list is absolutely absurd. And that, of course, Will and Harper doesn't get nominated because
I'm curious, have you seen any of these documentary features yet?
I've seen Sugarcane.
Which is
the
not
only one I've seen.
That's the only one I don't like. But I can tell you right now, like all these other movies, Will and Harper and Superman had no chance of winning against these other 4 movies. Not a single chance. So, but it's ironic because the one that it would
be on the short list. Come on, it's ridiculous.
It's
absurd.
It's ridiculous, but again, now that I've seen the nominees, it's like, oh, it doesn't bother me as much, if only because they were not going to win, not against these movies. If let's see here, the movie that I would have, pretty much almost all the nominations for Emilia Perez, I just did not like. And I guess if we're gonna be like really picky, why is Emilia Perez nominated for Best Sound? Like, what sound effects? Heck, I'll give a complete unknown credit for that one. One, I mean, they were in concerts and things like that. That makes sense. But
don't you think that Dune's going to win that one?
No. I actually think a complete unknown will win that one. But let me tell you something.
I think that's the one that Dune's going to win.
If Wicked starts winning things like sound and visual effects and stuff like that, there might be a surprise at the end if that starts happening.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only one that Dune potentially has locked in is visual effects, but then there's a part of me it's like, but they might give it to Wicked because they really love that movie and the visual effects are pretty good. I'm even gonna like crap on Emilia Perez getting Best Film Editing. That was not a well edited film. Actually, you want to know what my choice for visual effects would be? I'd give it to Better Man.
I agree, but they never give the ape. They just never do like ape effects of any kind. Yeah. Never win.
Which is funny because there's so many ape nominations in this category.
They never win. There's 2 this year. They won't win. But I think that's who I would also pick. I think the Alien Romulus visual effects are actively bad. So I think that one's a very weird.
That was a strange one. Yeah.
I think Dune might do pretty good when on some of these technical ones. It's absolutely absurd that Dune was disqualified for Best Score because it used music from the first one. Like, how many John Williams Star Wars scores have been nominated, and those use tons of. It's ridiculous.
Okay, so my opinion on that is I agree with the Academy rule on that, but the problem is I do agree with that rule, but they don't seem to be very consistent at enforcing that rule. And if you want to talk about a BS nomination with that in mind, how did Wicked score get Best Original Score when all the background music, they were taking cues from songs that were previously pre-written?
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous.
So if you're gonna have that rule, make it consistent. Make it consistent because they're not being consistent right now, and that's where it's bothering me. Because you're right. How many John Williams movies?
Ridiculous.
The Star Wars, like Indiana Jones got nominated last year, and it's not like there was like a ton of new music. They had to be using more than 60% of the old scores in that, but they nominated it anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absurd.
Yeah.
So it's a mixed bag. The Academy always is. So
yeah, the Academy. Yeah, what are you gonna do? I mean, that's why it's how should we say, a night of heartbreak. Like all the hearts are broken. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for joining. Just to let you all know, my new Oscar book is up for pre-order on Kickstarter. If you want to, pre-order it, there's still 10 days to go, and one person's pre-ordered it. Thank you, Mom. But I have faith, and if you want to Rachel and all her work, you can find her at that's an ad. You can find her at rachelsreviews.net as well as YouTube. Here on the iCritic Live podcast on March 5th, we're going to be doing a David Lynch memorial tribute with Mike Miley, who actually wrote a couple books on Lynch. And Rachel, do you have anything exciting coming up on your channel? Listeners should be aware.
Yeah, well, Elise Chaffins and I have been doing a best movies top 50 countdown of the last 25 years. It's 2025. So it's a 5-episode series that we've been doing, and it's been a ton of fun. And so that's something to check out over on my channel. And there's always lots of good stuff going on over at Hallmarkies Podcast. Check that out too.
All right, thank you. And everyone, we would like to know who you would pick for the Academy Awards. Do you agree with me? You better, it's my show. No, I'm kidding. Or do you agree with Rachel? Or maybe you don't agree with either of us. Maybe you all disagree. Maybe for you, Kieran Culkin doesn't win supporting actor. Yura Borisov does. We'd like to know in the comments below. And I'll see you at the movies, everyone. Take care.
Right.